Hello?
Hello.
Hello, hello. Can anyone hear us properly? Let's see. Your volume is at 200. I'll put you at 150.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. We can. Excellent. Thank you for that, Sid. Alright. Cam looking fly. Cam be looking fly. You are a llama with the best set of sunnies I've ever drawn.
Nice. I'll
Hello,
take that.
Hello, everyone. I am Pen Pen. I am your resident absentee artist. I stream once every blue moon. Uh, and I do a variety of different things. I mostly draw, but I play games and I do stuff like this. Hashtag definitely not a podcast. And with me today is a really good friend of mine, actually, by the name of Cam Todd. Say hi, Cam.
Hello. How's it going?
Going good. Cam, can you introduce a bit about yourself, your job, you know, the good stuff?
Um, well, I'm a 3D character artist. I'm currently working in video games for Blowfish Studios. But in the past, I spent a long time working for Riot Games in their merch department, sculpting statues and figures, and I've also done some other work for monotony of other studios, doing a range of different things from sculpting statues to working in VFX. Yeah, but for the most part, it's always been modeling.
And modeling, was it just mainly modeling characters or a little bit of
Well,
like set
mo-
assets?
mostly it depends. It's changed over time. But the interest has always been with characters, and characters of where I've kind of started and ended up. Um, but it's gone. It depends. Some different jobs, it's kind of gone away from that. But yeah, ended up learning new skills, which has always been fun.
That's good. Cam, so what originally got you interested in the industry? What made you realize this is exactly what I want to do as a career?
Uh, Pretty much, it was towards the end of high school. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I was tossed up between going down like music and or sound engineering,
Mm.
or becoming like a mechanic or something. But then a friend of mine was going to an AIE open day, so I was like, oh yeah, I like video games, so I'll go along. Um, and yeah, I went along and then saw like a VFX breakdown for The Great Gatsby, which I thought was crazy. Just seeing like how they took a pretty basic scene and made the movie that it was. And I remember watching that film, not thinking there was any VFX in that at all. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, I want to learn how to do that. Um, yeah, and then signed up, found sculpting, and kind of never stopped.
And the rest is history, well, one can say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And interesting you said AIE. So you and I, we were in the same year group together. And
Yes.
towards the end of our so AIE is short for Academy of Interactive Entertainment. It is a visual effects school, primarily focused on. Sorry, it's a college primarily focused on game and visual effects for film and TV. So it's a very specialized college. And Cam and I, we were in the same year group, so we started off first year and second year together. Different classes, but we were sort of just around. And then towards the end of our second year, where we have our final project, which was a short film of sorts, we were on the same team.
We were.
We were, and we had interesting disagreements of sorts, which we're totally over now. Totally, no hard feelings. No, totally not salty. Uh, so we were in the same year group together. How would you describe your entire experience at
At,
AIE, and what would you have changed if you could go back?
um, it was good. It was a lot of fun getting to meet new people. I really enjoyed the content. Really enjoyed what they were teaching. Um, I don't mind it. I don't think I'd really change anything. Minus, yeah, I don't think I'd really change anything. I'm quite happy with the way it all went. I spent most of the time just honestly just focusing on sculpting. Much, even though a lot of the teachers were like, "Ah, yeah, it's probably not. Probably should focus on something else." But it all worked out. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun. I liked it. Good years.
Yeah, they definitely were good years. I think that's how we made some of the core network that we're in, the core friend network.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
And so obviously I've seen you put in countless hours doing sculpting. You basically lived and breathed sculpting
Yes.
throughout the course. How much effort outside of coursework did you put in to get to the skill you were at when you were first hired? Your first big deal job?
A lot. So basically, when I didn't do that much work during the first year of AIE. Like, I mean, I did all of my classes and I tried my best,
Mm.
but it wasn't until the holidays of that first year that I was like, okay, yeah, no, I really want to do this for a career. And I spent the entire holidays just sculpting. Like, I stopped really playing games. I didn't stop really going out and doing much, minus the odd party here and there.
Mm.
And then for pretty much the majority of second year, if I wasn't in class, I was at home sculpting or doing some sort of 3D activity.
Mm.
Like, it still took time to play, to like have some breaks and hang out. But for the most part, I'd be doing either study or sculpting. And then after I finished AIE, probably spent about a year at home. Like, I quit my job, saved up some money, quit my job, and just sculpted until I eventually started getting some work from like a friend of mine. He was like, "Oh, I need some assistance on a statue, and do you reckon you can help?" So I started assisting him, which led to getting my own projects and kind of just snowballed from there.
Yeah, I
But yeah, it took
definitely.
a lot of work.
Oh yeah, no doubt for that. You're one of the hardest workers that I've had the absolute privilege of getting to know and have as a friend, really.
Cheers.
And so with all that in mind, you had some really wild times when you first started out. Like, with all of the hardcore networking. Like, we'd go to every networking convention possible. So we went to Nomon. For those who don't know, Nomon, which I think they've renamed it now to something else entirely.
I'm not really sure. I'm a bit out of the loop, to be honest.
Yeah, but at the time for us, it was Nomon, which is a convention of like everyone possible who were able to attend in the industry for either games and or film. We get together and we listen to the special guests. They do their talks, and then we basically huddled around and spoke to each other as much as possible. And it was definitely a great experience for students as well to go in and network. You
Hmm.
had absolutely wild times on our second Nomon adventure from memory because we were in Melbourne. How was that experience, and would it be something that you'd recommend to other students who are just about to graduate or freelancers that are just starting? Would that be something you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I never remember them being particularly wild, but I remember them being a ton of fun and just an awesome learning experience. Like, I was just really interested in 3D at the time, and these super skilled artists just who are working on a lot of projects that I really enjoy, and the sort of things I'd still like to worked on. So yeah, it was a ton of fun, just getting to listen to their processes and their workflows. Like, I really enjoyed all the live demos. And yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's
Mm.
nice seeing just how simple all of that can actually be. Like, you don't need to. It's not black magic. Making high quality art. It's really just practice and taking time to like build your to just it's just taking time to adhere to the basics and practice. Just so much practice.
And how would you recommend like these students who want to talk to, say, a recruiter or like another artist that they really look up to? How would you recommend like I guess, behavior around it, because there are times when we've seen other people talk to other artists, and we've probably done it ourselves too, where the behavior is just, it's very obvious that we're brown nosing, we're shoe shining to get on their good graces, and it doesn't always feel good.
Oh yeah, I guess. Like it's just one of those things. Like it just takes time. Like I was definitely um, very very impressed when I first met a lot of these artists, and when I was first learning but I was just excited, and I think for a lot of people they just get excited, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just be normal. Yeah.
Be normal and don't be weird.
Yeah, but I don't think it's they're just everyone, like it's just a job at the end of the day. It's not like people like all these top tier artists, they're not any different to anyone else really. Like it is just a job. Like the fantasy of it all and the mystery of it all kind of disappears after the first couple of years, and yeah, like it's a lot of fun just having beer and like talking, asking questions, and like I still ask questions from like, and I'm still always trying to find people who are more skilled and seeing what I can learn.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would recommend that to everyone.
And what would be the biggest learning curve from your perspective?
Learning to take breaks. Like learning to like manage burnout. Not letting, like, because it does take a lot of work to actually get a job and a lot of work to really get anywhere and get your foot through the door. But taking the time and not getting too caught up in, like, not getting too emotionally attached to your own work. Like being happy to take feedback even if it's not what you want to hear, and do things you aren't comfortable with in terms of like art styles, or do whatever you can to learn more. That's definitely been challenging, but it gets easier over time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've just finally noticed, so sorry. I finally just noticed that Angie came in to say hi, and Medismal said consistency is king, which I vehemently agree.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and Joe is here lurking, saying hello. Hello, Joe. So yeah, I completely understand what you mean by like learning to take breaks, managing burnout, and just making sure that you're always in the best possible condition to be working and living life and having a healthy balance.
Yep.
It's a constant struggle, and it's one that a lot of people fall into.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It can be very difficult to manage, but it's definitely worth taking the time to just take breaks and just learn that, like, you don't have to, if you play video games for an hour or two every evening, or it's like really not up to it one day, that's fine, but you just got to make sure you keep coming back to it.
Yeah, for sure. So just to touch on some of your experience, what sort of projects that you did work on that you are allowed to talk about? Because at the end of the day, with us and our industry, we are under NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, to a certain extent. So there are things we can and can't talk about.
So basically, the main thing, like most of my professional career so far, I've spent working at Riot, working in their merch department, sculpting all the statues and figures.
Oh yeah.
But I was also responsible for a lot of the renders and the texturing side of it for box art, and it also got displayed on the website. But I was very much a junior there.
Yeah.
But it was awesome because like I got to work with a few really good friends of mine, the same ones who started giving me work in the first place. So that was great. And then after that, like after spending quite a while there, I ended up getting to the point where I was ready to learn more and just kind of make my own way in the forward in the career. So I left that and ended up almost by chance at Flying Buck,
Oh yeah.
was there for about 6 months
Mm.
working on a kids animated TV show.
Yeah.
And then again, by almost pure chance, ended up now working in video games, which is never somewhere I expected to be working, but it seemed like a cool project. Yeah, it seemed like there was some cool people there and cool projects, and it was a set of skills that I thought was completely out of my wheelhouse. But turns out it's just been a lot of fun.
It certainly sounds like a lot of fun. How would you describe the transition from going to doing sculptures, like working on sculptures, because that's a completely different workflow, to working on sets for animations, and then going from there to video game? Like, what would the differences be, and what is the standard that is expected for each of those jobs?
Well, it obviously it changes per job and per industry, and nothing I'm doing is particularly groundbreaking in that aspect. It's more just learning actually what the requirements are and just following them as closely as you can. And mostly just listening to what the art directors and people with like your higher ups and supervisors, what they're saying. Like the main thing I've learned, or the main skill I rely on, is just following the concept as closely as I can. And yeah.
So okay, yeah. Because I remember during AI in learning the differences of what's expected between a film asset and a game prop, is I guess, what was it? They have like a poly budget, like a triangle budget of sorts.
There are different workflows. Like if we talk, there are different workflows. For film, you're using like subdivision modeling, where you'll have clean topology. It's all quads, and then you'll have supporting edge loops on all of your edges. So that helps manage the creasing, and it just gives it can give you a model like harder edges. So for example, like the edge of a table and the corners. Whereas in video games, you don't have to worry about smoothing, so you can actually make your mesh a little bit more low poly. And since it's not being rendered for hours and hours per frame like it is in film, like in video games, it's being churned out super quickly, so it needs to be light. So the main objective is to hold the shape with the smallest poly count you can.
Yeah. And
you also need to be a lot more efficient with your UVs. Whereas if I was making a book for a film, I would make it with as much detail as I can, and almost every page I would have to do that with a separate UV. Like I'd have a separate UV sheet. Whereas in a game, I kind of want to reuse that one sheet UV and make that a small part on the same tile and put everything on the one tile and reuse as much as I can.
Yeah.
So the main, I think if you're looking at it in a general perspective, games, you get to use a lot more cheats and tricks in terms of approaches to modeling and texturing. Whereas film, you need to be a lot more meticulous with it. But that being said, film, like they're both a lot of fun. But I am enjoying getting to learn new tips and tricks and some weirdness with that is the game world.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I do know that for my limited time in working in a game engine, it's completely different to what I've been used to, which is my job is to sit there, light things, and then render them out, basically render the pretty pictures out so that the compositors, the editors, who are just one stream down from me, can put it all together and make that look even more pretty and awesome. Whereas in game, what you see is what you get, so it better be good.
Yes. Well, and the other thing with film is it's a lot more, the roles overlap a lot more than they do in film. So in film, you've got like your lighting department, your compositing, and your modeling and texturing. Whereas for games, it's a lot more like if I make a character, I'll be doing the texturing, the UVs, and I'll probably import it into the game engine. And for the environment artists, they're full on bringing it into the engine, and then they're doing the ones doing the lighting as well. So it's all a lot more. It's a lot there's a lot less steps and a lot less people involved.
Yeah, I guess you could say the hats get very fast and loose very, very quickly depending
Yeah,
where you are working, essentially.
absolutely, absolutely.
So
A lot of fun.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I do want to experience what it's like working in games, like properly. Like
Mm,
touching a game engine very briefly for like short films and stuff like that is completely different to just prepping everything and making sure that it is what you expect from a modern video game, let alone an N64 quality video
yeah.
game. Um, in saying it though, with everything that you've touched on, what was the most memorable moment that you've had?
Most memorable, like career wise, or
Career wise, yeah.
um, I don't know. It's all been quite memorable, to be honest. Like I've enjoyed it all quite a lot.
Mm.
Um, but I'm probably my current job has definitely been the most challenging and probably the most fun. So far the most memorable, I guess. Like I guess there's just a bunch of moments that I just really enjoyed. Like getting my first job, my first full time job was pretty amazing. And the first time I got got my first paycheck, and it was like I could actually live off it from art. That was amazing. I don't think I'll ever forget that. And it definitely kind of helps drive me to keep working harder. Um, but yeah, no, I've honestly I've really enjoyed a lot of the aspects of work, and most days I'm excited to get up and go back to it and see what's happening. Um, yeah, and for that I'm always like really quite grateful.
Mm. For sure, for sure. And I believe that you scored the golden ticket to what everybody in the industry is striving desperately for, which is a permanent position. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is at the moment. Yeah, I've gotten a full time permanent role at Blowfish, completely by chance. In the sense, like I went out to a friend of ours farewell, and just so happened to meet uh, the head of CG at Blowfish.
Mm.
Like we're chatting about motorbikes, and he was like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And I'm saying, "Oh, I'm a 3D artist." And he's like, "Oh, interesting. Do you have any work?" So I showed him, and he's like, "Awesome. Do you want to come in for an interview?"
Oh wow.
So came in for the interview. Like sent him a message explaining me for the interview, which the interview was really them offering me the job. And then I started 2 weeks later. But I was thinking about not actually taking it,
Mm.
because I really wanted to work at Flying Bark again. But it was taking a while, and I was very quickly running out of money. So I was just ready to take whatever job I could get. And when Blowfish initially offered me the contract, I was like, okay, I'm just going to take a day to think about it. And then they came back the next day, upped the amount they were offering, and gave me a few extra benefits. And I was just like accepted right then and there, because I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And
And
yeah, started the next Monday. And honestly, it's been awesome. I'm so glad I accepted the job there.
oh, I am so glad you did as well. Because for those who don't know at home watching this, a permanent position is a huge deal because a large bulk of the industry of film and game right now is that we're all on temporary contracts. So we're essentially freelancers who are employed for from as little as a month, like 3 weeks to a month, to potentially as long as 6 months or even a year. But there is never, it's really rare for a job offer to be a permanent role where you don't have to worry whether or not you'll have a contract renewal coming in or whether or not you'll be able to have another job lined up after the current one is done. So this is a huge deal, and for Cam to get it really speaks volumes as to the quality of his work ethic, his personality, because you got to be really good, like you got to be personable to work with as well. and like just everything, all of Cam's hard work, let essentially led him to this moment of permanent position, which I'm immensely jealous of. Actually, I'm proud and jealous at the same time.
Ah, cheers. Yeah, no, honestly, I'm thrilled. It's been a big relief, and I can finally focus on some other stuff in life. It's just been very enjoyable in different aspects of art
Would you say
that I
that?
hadn't had it. So,
Sorry, you finish.
oh no, no, I was done. I was done.
Uh, I was gonna say, would you say it's a huge load off your shoulders now that you don't have to worry about a new contract?
Oh yeah, massively, massively. Um, it was very stressful, to be honest, as I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah.
I don't like at all not being able to not know when, not know how long I'm going to be spending at a job, not knowing if it's going to be renewed in
Mm.
6 months. Um, it's too much. It's too stressful, and I'd rather just kind of live my life and worry, like go at my own speed, rather than just being kind of traded at willy nilly.
Uh,
But yeah, that's all
yeah.
good. It's all part of it.
Yeah. And you don't have to worry about whether or not you have to consistently keep moving interstate, potentially out of country, which is my constant worry at the
Mm.
moment. You know, can I stay in one location for at least a year or two before I have to move again? And I think it's the same experience for a lot of other people as well. So getting a permanent position means you're set. It doesn't mean you can slack off on your like quality of the work you've done. It just means that there is significantly less things to worry about. You can live life a little. You know what your savings or your financial situation is going to look like as well.
Yes, no, that's mostly it for me. I don't mind moving around so much. Like I actually really am looking forward to eventually working overseas and um, kind of yeah, just traveling a bit. But the stability in income is huge. That was the main thing that stressed me out. Is not knowing how much I was going to get, not knowing how long I was getting, the amount I was getting for. Um, and just now where it's just every 2 weeks, it's the same amount. It just gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of like if you wanted to get a loan or um, save for things, it's you're just able to,
Yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
awesome. Yeah, definitely been like this is definitely the most stable position I've ever been in, which is nice.
Oh,
Very, very grateful for it.
we got a comment from Araxis. Hi, Araxis. Where Araxis has said, "Oh, but it's so easy to pick up your life and move. People need to move for their jobs, even if they're jobs that can be done at home," which is heavy on the sarcasm there. Thanks for stabbing me where it hurts. Thank you very much. I am immensely hurt and wounded, dying even. So, you've been employed, like actively working for about, I say, 4 years now, right?
Yeah, yeah, about that. Yeah, about
Yeah,
4 years,
yeah,
probably approaching 5.
approaching 5. Yeah, so how do you feel now that you have some experience under your belt? Like, do you feel just as nervous or anxious as you did the very first time you got the job, or has things just gotten to the point where you're just like, yeah, it's a job, it's a thing that I do now, and I have every confidence to continue doing what I do no matter where I go.
Yeah, definitely, definitely the latter. Like I'm not really worried about. I'm not really worried about work. I'm not really stressing. Just because there's nothing. It's not that the difficulty. It's not that it's gotten any easier or I've gotten. I don't like. I've definitely gotten better,
Mm,
but my mentality's changed about it. Like I've experienced it going well and experienced it going badly, and it's mostly just working with like even when it goes badly, it's art. Like it's never going to go well the first time. It's subjective, and it's um and just kind of getting comfortable with the process makes it so much easier.
mm.
Like yeah,
And would you
like
say,
once
yeah,
sorry.
sorry, once. I cut you off unintentionally there, quite rudely. I apologize for that. What were you about to say?
Oh, no, yeah, it's not stressful anymore. Like, I'm quite confident in my ability to get the job done. Like, I'm definitely not the best out there, but it's just, you don't need to be. Like, you just need to try your best, and that's all anyone can ask. And if you're doing that, then yeah, you're fine.
Would you say that you've gotten a lot more confident in yourself and your abilities?
Yes, yes. Mostly because I've just gotten more comfortable with the whole process of working professionally and like getting art critiqued. It's never, people aren't giving you critiques to at you individually. It's just all to make the project better. And yeah, once I realized that, had a lot more fun with it, and like felt a lot more confident to make things that would get rejected, and like push things and make different sorts of decisions that maybe weren't there in the concept if I think it looks better. Which has been a lot of fun. That's actually where it's been really, really rewarding, because the times that it does work out, it gets to stay.
Yeah. And just to help people like wrap their heads around on the post process, the time frame, like after the filming or after the pitch meeting for a game, how long would it take for a project to be in the modeling section of the pipeline? Like, how long would it take usually for you to turn around a new character or a new alteration or even a new like environment prop, for example?
It really depends. Like, there's no real straight answer. It's like, how long's a piece of string? But
Like just
it's always
roughly.
for
Like,
roughly for if it honestly, it's like if I was gonna make a character for like a video game character, like the one we're doing at the moment, it'd probably take me, I don't know, a couple weeks.
couple weeks. And that
Like,
includes making sure everything is like super ready for rigging and texturing, right?
oh, that's trying my best for it. But there's usually, like, I'll probably get the main bit of the character done in about 2.5 weeks, and then you'll eventually get kickbacks because maybe something's broken or you've missed something, or there's just some sort of issue. And that can just add a little bit of time, but that's all part of it. But it's hard to say because I'm usually working on a bunch of different things at the same time. Like, I'm rarely doing start to finish just one character or one asset.
Yeah.
Like, I'll usually work on a collection of different things all at once.
On average, how many different things are you juggling at the same time on like a normal work day compared to crunch time?
I haven't really experienced crunch time, to be honest. Or if I have, I haven't really done anything about it.
Yeah.
I just work the same regardless. But yeah, it honestly just depends. I think the most I've ever had was probably 7 or 8 different characters at once.
Oh wow.
But yeah, they're all at varying parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just because I'm quite unfamiliar with modeling, like I know bits and pieces of how things should be going in a pipeline because you learn all of that in college and then you get to touch a bit of everything before you settle in on what you like. Some people are generalists, some people are specialists. I am by definition a specialist. I only handle lighting. Cam handles modeling, a bit of texturing, and a little bit of lighting as well, depending on the situation. So would you say that in terms of, say, making a character, would it just be a one character per artist, or is it several artists for different parts of the character maintaining consistency throughout?
Again, that completely depends. But I've worked in all combinations of that setup. Where I've been assisting, where someone else has done the majority of the character, and I've just made assets for it. So like a gun or gloves or boots or something. Then I've done other characters where I've started like a block out, like I've gotten the pose all in and it's been handed off to someone else.
Yeah.
Or I've done it from start to finish. Or, yeah, it changes a lot. And the main part is just, I found it's just being flexible and just, yeah.
Adapting on the fly, basically, whenever the
Pretty much just
situation.
adapting on the fly and being willing to like learn new tools. And if I've got the opportunity to learn a new pipeline or take on a different sort of material that I haven't done before, I generally try to take it.
Mm. And just for curiosity's sake, like when you work on stuff at home and at work in the office, what sort of software do you use?
So I pretty much only use Maya, Substance Painter, and ZBrush, and some Photoshop.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty basic when it comes to those. Like I like to use a lot of. I like to try and learn those programs as much as I can. But I've been using Marvelous Designer a lot recently, which has been tons of fun.
Yeah.
And I've definitely been enjoying that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I should actually get back into Marvelous Designer. It's unfortunate that the software itself for licensing is actually quite expensive if you're not actively earning income from making stuff from it. But I highly recommend Marvelous Designer. For those who don't know, Marvelous Designer is a cloth simulator where if you know the basics of sewing, using the program should be like okay. You already have the base fundamentals. All you need to know is how to use the user interface and basically where things are located, but the premise is still the same. And I believe it's one of the most popular programs a lot of character artists use now for their making clothes, cloth for curtains and bed and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's just a giant cloth sim.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's used in everything, mostly just because it's easier than sculpting it, and it'll end up looking better. It'll usually look better than sculpting, but
Yeah.
it's also just a great base, so you can start something in Marvelous and then finish it off in ZBrush.
Yeah.
Or I've been using it for creating clothes for game characters. So I'll just block that in. Like I'll get a basic garment, retop that, then I can sculpt on top details on that, like in terms of my stitching and maybe other detail. Or yeah, it's fun and it's very straightforward to use.
Yeah. I think the only criticism I had of Marvelous at the time when I was using it 5 years ago was that their tutorial videos don't line up with their latest UI at the time. So it's based on whatever UI they had when they were filming the tutorial, but not much else afterward. So a lot of the things aren't in the same places anymore. But that's like a minor gripe. Other than that, yeah, you're right. It's very straightforward. It's very user-friendly from my experience. And it's just an all-around amazing piece of program.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, now that we got all of the work stuff out of the way, talking shop and stuff like that, we've touched upon on, like, trying to avoid burnout, fatigue, constant exhaustion by taking more breaks, managing your work-life balance, and ensuring that you're doing everything you can to just be as healthy as possible with healthy boundaries. What's a daily struggle, if you have one, that you go through to maintain that creative mode and motivation to continue to wake up in the morning and be like, gosh, I'm so excited?
It's just having fun with it, to be honest. Not getting too caught up in the worries of it all, and just having fun with it. Like making sure you're finding time to do art you enjoy, not always just doing art for work, because that quickly becomes very soul draining.
Yeah.
Even if you're really enjoying it. Yeah. So I do a bunch of different things at home to stay creative and stay learning, but also to have fun. Like I've been getting more and more into drawing. So I've been going to like life drawing once a week, which has been a good way to practice. Like studying forms and learning to use reference better. And yeah, doing like making sure I'm sculpting for fun. Like I'm about to enter this upcoming ArtStation challenge. for just a bit of fun.
Yeah, you were
And
talking about that last night as well. Could you explain what that challenge is?
yeah, it's just pretty much it's the theme is I think it Forgotten Dragons or Forgotten something.
Mm.
But there's basically just some cool concepts, and I want to sculpt them. And I like the idea of having a challenge because making a challenge because then there's a set deadline, so you actually have to get it done. And yeah, it'll be fun to kind of challenge myself a bit and kind of because I've never done too much in the way of feathers and hair for games.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm quite keen to try that out a bit more. So I've tried to pick a character that is completely covered in them. So there's plenty of practice.
Oh yeah, for sure. And my experience with ArtStation challenges is that they're very rewarding, even if you don't, I guess, land in the top place or the top
Oh yeah,
three or anything. Like the fact that you got something done is like super rewarding in of itself. Because ArtStation has this, I guess, impression that only professionals, like industry professionals, use it. The layman can't really. But you find like amazing artists on there anyway who aren't professionals. They're like students or freelancers, and their testament of, consistency is key.
yeah. Consistency is always going to be the key, and to touch on the whole enjoyment of it is not focusing on the end products, just enjoying the process of it.
Mm.
Like, it's fun making art, and just have fun with it while you're making it. Yeah, but yeah, consistency is definitely the way, regardless.
Yeah. And when you switch between like work and after work, where you spend time on your hobbies, because I know you do a lot of rides with your bike, with your motorcycle. You also
Yes.
do life drawing and stuff like that. Is it a bit of a process mentally for you to switch gears, or is it just pretty much an easy back and forth now?
Oh yeah, it's a pretty easy back and forth, to be honest. Like I like doing all of these different things, and I look forward to doing all of the different things. So I kind of just go from one thing to the other, pretty pretty relaxed way.
Mm.
Um, but I have the same mentality for a lot of it, where I try to challenge myself and always learn what I can
Yeah.
where I can.
Mm. And from your perspective and your own experiences as well, what are the upsides and downsides to your line of work in being a 3D modeler?
The big upside is it's a ton of fun,
Mm.
and you get to meet a lot of cool people and a lot of people who just really enjoy their job and really enjoy what they do, which is great. I love that. Like I feed off that energy, um, and yeah, that's a huge one. Like it's fun just being excited all the time. The downsides are, I guess, the same as any job. That's just sometimes you have to work and you'd rather do something else.
Oh, yeah. And obviously, we touched on the topic very, like, earlier on as well, like contracts and relocation and the expectation of a relocation anyway. I think that expectation has been tempered since the pandemic. A lot of people are now demanding work from home jobs, and
Yes.
there isn't really much justification for a lot of studios to demand people to relocate now that we've proven that work from home is something that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I guess I have a bit of a differing opinion on that one. Like,
Mm.
whereas I spent I spent 3 years with Riot working at home, and I'm over it. I like going into the office. I like getting to see people. Uh, and I want that studio experience because I feel like having that separated place of work and relax
Yeah.
is really quite helpful for me. Like I found it really stressful, relaxing and working in the exact same environment. Um, yeah, and that's nice. It's also fun just getting to see people face to face. Like you can go and have lunch with people. You can go grab a beer or something after work and just kind of hang out. It's really easy to make friends like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I don't think because so I've been working from home for about a year now. Like on it's an on and off thing when I was at Flying Bark and where I am right now. It is a consistent work from home contract. It's been about 7 months now. I do actually. I thought I wouldn't miss going to the office. I do actually miss going to the office, because at that point my brain is now associating home as work, so I'm in a constant state of alert, even when I'm sleeping, because my brain is like, you could be working, you could be working, you could be working, you could be working. Like it's a consistent loop of anxiety. But if I had like a studio to go into, that's just it. I travel however long I needed to, get into the studio, work my 8 hours minimum, and then come home. It also means I won't be working till like 1 a.m. in the morning at home because I could.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I found it very stressful. Just again, like working from home for international companies, there's no real set times for when you're working, or about you might be working odd hours or have meetings at odd hours, and it's it's nice to have that distinction of, okay, I go to work at this time, I can come home at this time, and when you get home, it is just complete relax. Like this is the spot to chill. Yeah, and I find that's been a really nice change. Like I definitely have enjoyed working from home, and I still like working from home every now and then, which thankfully I'm in a position where work does let me take a couple of days to work from home.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah,
I think a full work from home and a hybrid work from home is like the future now for us at this point. For those who want like a mental break from socializing but still can do work, to those who cannot relocate.
sorry, say it again.
Oh, I was just saying, like in the future, basically is going to be either a mash between work from home, hybrid, and like office for those to fit everyone's situation. Like the companies
Yeah,
would now have to be a lot more flexible than they were in the past, and it's a necessity now, kind of deal.
yeah. Ideally, you'd be able to tailor it to the individuals, which would be cool. Like it'd be cool to tailor where you can kind of take. Like I wouldn't mind working 1 day a week from home, but for the most part, I like going in.
Yeah,
But I know there's a bunch of other people who'd much prefer to work the entire week at home, which is totally fair.
yeah.
But yeah,
What's what's your biggest fear?
my biggest fear,
Yeah.
like work-wise,
Oh, work rise, non-work, either one of those.
I'm not really sure, to be honest. Like I guess this upcoming motorbike race.
Oh, you're in a race! I didn't know about this. What the heck? Spill the deets.
Well, I haven't entered yet, but
Oh,
I will be soon. Like very soon. Yeah, there's nothing really I'm nervous like in particular about. Like I'm happy to just. I feel like I'm just kind of cruising at the moment.
well, isn't that such a lovely mindset? I wish I had that. My biggest fear is spiders and the end of my job.
I mean, I get the spiders, but as long as you're working hard, you're turning through a bunch of different jobs, building up that experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
Like,
important thing, building experience. But it's also so stressful though, because under any normal circumstances, for people outside of the industry, they see job hopping every like 3 to 6 months to like a normal office job, like an admin job in say insurance or something like that. That's a
yeah,
red flag. Like, why are you switching jobs like you're switching clothes in your wardrobe levels of red flag? But for
yeah,
us, it's just ridiculously normal.
yeah. No, absolutely. But it's all part of it. Like, it's one of those industries where I guess it's hard. I guess it can be hard to have people employed all of the time.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, all the more reason to join game, because it's much more common in game to get those permanent jobs.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Film goes is very much project to project, whereas game you'll typically stay with a studio, and the studio goes project to project with the same staff.
Yeah, well, at least the same core stuff. I think Grinding Gears uh does it in fluctuations where they need more lighting artists for like a new game or expansion, but they're not too many more, just like an extra set of
Hmm.
hands to help with the core
Well,
stuff.
yeah, absolutely. Like I know at Blowfish we outsource to a few other studios,
Mm,
but we don't really hire anyone. Everyone that gets hired is typically hired full time.
yeah. And would you say that to like for a lot of these game studios, you can't really be a specialist in one aspect? Like my example, lighting. You sort of need to know how other bits and pieces go and be able to do it when the time calls for it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there are definitely specialists about, um, but it's always good, in my opinion, to always be learning as much about the process before and after you as well. Like I'm very character centric, but I've done my best to try and learn what the animators need, or learn what the concept artists are after when they're drawing, and like what they want
Yeah,
me to model.
yeah,
Um, yeah, like I found the more I can understand the departments around me, the more it's helped my ability to create art that's more useful for all of these guys,
oh, for
and
sure.
it means you end up having less kickbacks, and um, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I can say from my experience as being the end of the pipeline, the end of the post pipeline anyway, is that when modeling and everybody else above us understand what sort of what we lower peons need, the basement dwellers need, it makes everyone's lives a lot easier in terms of like going through the whole process and stuff, because with lighting we don't actually just light, we do a whole bunch of like hot fixes on the go as well if we needed to. Like for example, we need to have a new shader or texture pack for like a character because he's been kicked into the mud. It needs to come out muddy, kind of deal.
Mm-mm.
Rather than have it go through upstream all over again, texture the textures or the modelers can just send us like a new file pack, and then we can just do a hot fix on that and do like a switch basically
Mm.
on our end, and it sort of makes lives a bit easier, but that's only if everything is consistent throughout. Like from my perspective, naming your stuff, like naming your files consistently, makes my life so much easier.
Yeah, no, that's one we're always that's always a tricky one. Or I mean, an important one, not a tricky one. But sometimes things just slips through the cracks, and but yeah, it is always helpful to have good naming conventions. Hey,
Yeah, I think the worst I've ever seen was that not only was this person using default cube, like default cube 5,000, like 50,000 or whatever, their stuff was like inconsistently named. Like a shirt would be like t-shirt or polo, like not even polo shirt. There's a t-shirt, white shirt '05, white shirt final or something along those lines. And it breaks my setup because I have it set in a way that if it will take in keywords and then it'll just automatically reassign or like do this and that. And the moment it breaks my setup, I spend 2 to 3 hours going through everything trying to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it, as opposed to them naming things correctly consistently, like I don't know, shirt underscore polo, shirt underscore white kind of thing, and keep that consistency going. Yeah, it's just a nightmare downstream.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I can definitely understand it. Um, but I feel like it's definitely one of those things where it's always good to just have good naming conventions. Like, regardless, it helps everyone.
Oh yeah, for sure. There are people whose naming convention is just so beautiful it makes me weep. Oh, it's the little things, the little things. Not
Oh,
calling,
absolutely, absolutely.
not calling your set of eyeballs default cube 15 and 16 it would do wonders.
Yes, taking the time to just give it a basic name, keep it all consistent, uh, helps a lot. Helps a lot when you go to texture and hand it off to different departments as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's easy to like diagnose problems or isolate things that need to be changed super fast.
Hmm.
Um, so what's grinding your gears at the moment? Like what's got you all hot and bothered?
Grinding my gears.
Yeah,
Um. Honestly, nothing really, to be honest.
nothing.
Um. Not really. I'm
No.
kind of just, kind of just chilling, to be honest.
Yeah, not even the toilet roll facing backwards. Not even the small
No,
stuff.
no. Honestly, I'm just cruising. Like, been vibing a lot recently.
Oh yeah.
Trying to not to let, trying not to let things get to me. Just kind of roll on with my day.
You've gone onto the path of enlightenment, a path that I cannot follow.
No, it's I've definitely been very conscious of my mindset recently and just kind of what I'm thinking about and why I'm like what I'm dwelling on. Um, and it's definitely helped. Like, so I had someone explain to me, it's like, oh, you can change your like, you have no control over the outside stimulus, but you can change your response to it,
Yeah.
and that vibed with me a lot. And I've definitely been trying to change my responses to outside stimulus.
I I should do that as well. That did vibe with me the moment you said it. And I feel like I should make a conscious effort to also do the same. I should. It should. It's fantastic advice.
Hmm. Oh, I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah. I mean, what else am I going to do? Your advice is shit and you should feel bad. That's
Yeah, do it.
terrible, because that's a
No, say
lie.
that.
No, that's a lie. That's one thing that people be like, oh my god, Pen, why are you like this? So, what are your goals and aspirations then for the future? It could be like, I don't want to do the whole standard. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? But also, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Honestly, hopefully, I just keep continuing to be doing what I'm already doing.
Yeah.
Like I'm enjoying I'm enjoying the trajectory a lot.
Mm. Would you say you're gonna, you can see yourself being a lead or a soup?
Oh, I would like to be a lead. I don't know about supervisor,
Mm.
but I have spoken that I wouldn't mind being able to get to an art director level one day. But
Oh.
for the most part, I would like to just keep making characters and eventually add in traveling to that.
Yeah.
Keep work overseas or see more of the world. While continuing to just make characters. I don't really care if it's video games or film or whatever.
Mm-mm.
Just let me sculpt and travel, and I'll be pretty happy.
Oh yeah,
And
for
pay
sure.
and pay me money. I
Oh,
like money.
money's the most important bit. No point doing the other two if you're not going to get paid because you can't do the other two. No, yeah, I completely get what you mean. Like, I suppose I don't. My goals and aspirations, like hopefully in the future, is that I will see myself as a forever senior. Like, I'm not brave enough to be a team, like to be a lead, because that involves a whole bunch of politics upstream that I can't really get filtered from. Like, the lead is going to filter me from that, but I like being able to be in a position where if someone asks me for help, I can most definitely provide a really insightful answer, especially to juniors. I'm just
Hmm.
not in that position right now because one, I mean, everyone will always ask for help, even seniors, but like, I can feel the difference between my knowledge and that of a senior, and I aspire to be the senior.
Well, seniors just have lots of tips and tricks.
Yeah,
And yeah, I feel like that just takes time.
yeah, for
But
sure.
it's definitely useful. Like I harass the seniors at work, um, just because they've just got tons of cool tips and tricks, and I want to know them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what they're there for, though. Like you're, I feel like once you reach senior, you can't be too overly upset if you have a whole bunch of juniors and mids
Well,
asking, like looking at you for help, because if you're not there to help them, who else have they got? The lead is only one person, but there's plenty of seniors. Like a good team should have more than one senior, you know, to
yeah,
to
well
to be
that
there to
is.
help.
I think that is the like I remember seeing a breakdown or just an explanation of the differences, and a senior really is just someone who helps out the juniors, but the skill set isn't actually that different to a mid.
Yeah,
There's maybe more technical knowledge and the ability to take on some tougher projects, but for the most part, you're helping out juniors, and you're helping direct the team and keep it all consistent. And yeah, whereas mids are kind of just left to do what they do.
yeah, because
And
you can trust them that they know what they're doing.
yes,
Yeah, because seniors, from my perspective, seniors are essentially the assistant to the lead because they assist the lead with a whole bunch of stuff that the lead doesn't have time for. But that should also give them, at the same time, the knowledge and resources to help juniors. Mids will always ask for seniors, like for help, and leads for
hmm.
help anyway. But they're mostly self-sufficient. They know how to. They have self-preservation. Juniors are like toddlers. They'll run amok.
Oh yeah, but I don't know about running amok, but
I
they can
mean,
definitely.
they're
It's
learning.
just a big. There is just a lot to learn. Like I remember learning more in the first couple months of working than I did in 2 years of studying.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's a big learning curve.
Massive learning curve. Massive. And I don't know how I got through it, but I did. Because I remember being bombarded with a whole bunch of information. Like, being a junior for the very first time is an experience I probably don't ever want to experience again. It's just, you get your new job, you're super happy, right? And then everything you never really learnt before, like pipeline, uh, and the actual job, like that's so overwhelming because you're learning 20 different things at once. My company I'm working for right now, which I will not disclose because I'm like that, you get 2 weeks of training, and that's 2 weeks of massive documentation. And my trainer said we could actually do with more documentation for the onboarding process. Like, they don't think what they currently have is enough. And that, to me, is insane. It was a massive information dump.
See, I personally I love those information dumps, especially now that I've got in the habit of note taking.
Mm. Like,
But no, I like it. Like I'm always after as much information as I can possibly can get. So I can definitely see why some people would think that.
like
Um,
I don't mind the information dump either. It's more of the case of it is technically just studying and reading. There isn't a whole lot of, I guess, like doing it in the projects. Like, I've been in this company for 7 months now. I love it. I love this company so much. I don't ever see myself leaving unless I had to. Like, I get kicked to the curbside and be told, "Yep, see you later," kind of deal, you know.
hmm.
But a lot of the stuff I learned, a good portion of it, I don't ever get to touch,
Yeah, yeah.
which is fine. Like, you never, like, these onboarding things are for everyone, so they need to make it as general as possible. But at the same time, it is quite overwhelming, and I only just now am beginning to process it all.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like I had similar experiences as well in the past, where the first like the first info dump, it's completely overwhelming. You're like, haha, I caught none of that. And then over time, you start to remember more, start to understand more and more of it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Dump. Oh, Medismal, you're so funny. Dump. So, what do you hope for the future, like from the industry? Like, what do you expect to see, and what do you hope that will happen?
I'm not really sure. I hope it just keeps continuing developing and people can just still keep making cool stuff. Um, yeah, no, I'm not really sure for that one, to be honest.
Would you say the rise of, like, I guess, AI software that does like art, like what's it, art bashing, essentially, because it's not
Yes.
really art, it's art bashing, which is a different form of art, sort of. Would you say the rise of like stuff like that, do you see as a
Oh,
positive or a negative?
no, it's a huge positive. It's awesome. I've been using a ton of Midjourney recently. I like it as a
Mm,
quick way to just visualize ideas, and then you can kind of do whatever you want with it from there. Whether you want to like use it as sculpting reference or draw over, or even just kind of, it's just kind of cool visualizing just words.
yeah.
Like it can kind of get you thinking about a problem a little bit differently, or it can just start ideas.
Would you argue
Like,
would you
sorry.
argue that it would be like a fantastic tool for artists to use alongside rather than a complete replacement of artists?
Yeah, I think it's just another tool.
Mm,
Like I definitely, I don't see a real danger to it. Like I feel like all new technology is going to seem daunting and scary, but the best way to stay relevant is to try and learn and understand and see how you can adapt it. Like I don't think art is ever going to be. I don't think robots are ever going to, or AI will ever take over from real artists.
mm,
Simply because they don't really they don't really have taste. They're not really conscious. Like the reason games are good is because people make things they want, or
mm.
they put in emotions and feelings and certain art styles to help improve that. AI can make things that look the same, but it's kind of missing that essence of it. But that's great for us because we can kind of direct the AI to make stuff and make it kind of look the way we want it to look. And if it can help speed up the pipeline, that's gonna be awesome. Like I'm looking forward to one day just having AI that can retop an UV for me. That'd be awesome.
Ah, yeah. Yeah,
'Cause that would,
because that would be so convenient, and it's a huge time saver as well.
yeah, absolutely.
I guess we can argue that, like, art forms, like nearly every art form that falls under art, entertainment, and all that jazz, are very human things that are near impossible to replace with algorithms and code.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think there is going to be a place for technology in art, um, and I'm really interested to see what that looks like in the future.
Mm, for sure. Like, the future will be quite interesting, I think, compared to like 10 years ago, where all of this stuff would be like borderline stuff of science fiction books, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we've come a long way since then, haven't we?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like I love looking back at like Jurassic Park, for example, and seeing where CG is at today.
Mm. I think it's wild. Like, you look at stuff like Jurassic Park, and then you look at stuff like Back to the Future, and all of the early compositing stuff as well, like Buster Keaton comedies, to now.
Hmm.
I think the very first movie shown in theaters was basically just a footage of a train going towards the camera, and the first time it was shown, people ran out of the theater because they thought the train was literally right there.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
It's hilarious
Uh,
now, but back then it was just like, whoa! You know? Their
yeah,
minds are
no,
blown.
that's great. I can't wait for more of that sort of thing as time goes on. Like I'm interested to see how VR pushes all of this media forwards. Um, I think it's just going to get better and better as time goes on, and I can't wait to see it.
Would you say we're like at the start of immense progress? Like literally right now is a what a time to be alive.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like I feel like the whole metaverse idea is going to be really interesting, or like people living their lives online or with digital avatars and like living like a real life Ready Player One experience. I think that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, because with all the VR stuff, that's getting more and more fine tuned as the years go by. But I suppose you can argue digital avatars has been around since the 90s, and it's not entirely a new concept. I guess it's just application and acceptance by the media that's really changed things now.
Hmm.
I don't know, like it's stuff with because I'm in the community, I guess. Stuff like virtual YouTubers and virtual streamers, like that's taking off to the point where large companies like Sony and all of that are cashing in on it, and I
Hmm.
think that's always been interesting in of itself.
Hmm.
All it took was 10 years, 10 years of conception, and like or even earlier. All it takes is for someone to really, really be obsessed with it to create something, fine tune it, and then everyone else to jump on board. In saying that though, like what advice do you have for recent graduates or students right now? Like what's the biggest advice you can give to help them along?
um, the biggest advice, I think, be focused and practice. So find or be specific about where you're going to end up in the industry, and look at look at examples of studios and other artists. Like look at studios that make the sort of things you want to make and want to work on.
Mm.
Look at the sorts of artists, try and find their profiles, go through the game credits, like go and find their art stations, look at the sort of work they're doing, and try to focus your art to get to that kind of point.
Mm.
Um, if you're really stuck, maybe even just send them a message or just ask them. Like there's, but being specific about your art style and being broad and learning the basics helps a lot. Um,
And
yeah, like I think, and just being relentless in the practice.
yeah. And in terms of like messaging the artists, like well, some artists don't really respond because they're either not active or they're just not that type of person to respond. You lose nothing by messaging the artist, right? As
Oh
long
yeah,
as
yeah,
you're
absolutely.
as long as you're very respectful about it.
Yeah,
A lot of
absolutely.
them will be more than happy to respond. Like if someone messages you like tomorrow about for advice of what to do and stuff like that, you're more than happy to respond as long as they're not being weird about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm more than I've gotten so much help from so many people, um, and I'm always happy to return the favor. And I'm sure I know I'm sure plenty of people feel that way about it.
And what would you say to those who are getting discouraged about the whole like looking for jobs
Um,
process?
I'd say try not to let it get to you. Like it, everyone struggles getting that first job.
Mm.
It is hard to do. Um, yeah, it's brutal, but it just takes a ton of luck as well, like as well as practice.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just get unlucky, and it's not anything against you. It's not anything against your quality of your art, but sometimes, yeah, it's just you just gotta be willing to be patient. But there's so many stories of people completely doing a 180 in their career, or thinking it was completely over, or it was taking a lot longer than they ever expected.
Mm.
Um, Only for it all to turn around in like a couple days.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And for those who, you know, you're listening to this advice and you're saying it's quite general, it is, because at the end of the day, neither Cam or I know you personally and your personal circumstances as well that are giving you troubles in job search. Beyond it, it's okay. It's not indicative of you. It's indicative of the right place and time, basically. Just do everything you can to give yourself the best possible chance uh, when it comes to like applications. You know, present yourself the best way you can. Be as genuine as possible,
Yeah.
and learn from each interaction. Like, if you're not sure why you got rejected, it doesn't hurt to ask a recruiter why. You lose nothing. Like, the most you can ever lose in asking a question to anyone online is, you know, they might not respond, or they respond poorly. But beyond that, you're not going to lose years and years of progress. You're not going to lose a huge chunk of your skill overnight. Just carry on. You got this.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a real short. Like apparently, there always seems to be work for people who are skilled enough. So, like if you're just patient, you'll be shocked at where you can end up.
And you know, if there isn't a particular studio or or even like a workplace that has the style or the type of work ethic that you want, or you're still hunting for that unicorn studio and stuff like that, and you're not willing to settle, be the change you want to see in the world. Start up your own thing. I'm not saying start a whole company. Companies are expensive. I'm just saying, like, do your own little content. Like, do some content of your own.
Mm.
And
Or even
yeah, be the
I
workplace
reckon
you want.
even take like if you're just starting out, take jobs at smaller studios or wherever you can get the work. Because as soon as you start getting the experience, it starts to become a lot easier to pivot with your career.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Like,
And once you've got your foot in the door, it all gets so much easier. And then you can then keep practicing while earning money
I
and
would,
learning new skills, which is always fun.
yeah, and from my experience, I would actually argue getting your first job is the second hardest thing to do in your career. I'm not saying it's not hard to get a first job. It is immensely hard. Like, that's a very hard first hurdle, but it's not the hardest. Getting your second job is the hardest, because a lot of artists, a lot of new artists, they don't manage their expectations, and they don't draw the line on personal boundaries well enough, and they end up getting burnt out. And then that's it. They either don't go into the industry again, or they have immense difficulty getting that second job, because anything can go wrong with the first job. But once you get to your third job, that's when things start to like even out and get better. The first 5 years are rough, essentially.
Yeah, see, that's fair. I feel like my journey was definitely a bit different. Like I felt like getting into the industry was brutal. It was absolutely brutal.
Oh yeah.
But it's gotten so much easier. It's gotten so much easier every year that's gone on, uh, and so much more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, every career is different. The main consistency thing is it's getting that first job is ridiculous,
Oh yeah.
and you've got to work so hard for so long.
For sure. And then like most of the time you get feedback that's like super vague. You know, like one
Yeah,
of the vaguest feedback I ever got was, make it look beautiful. That was a legitimate feedback I got as someone who was trying to get a job. Do you know how hard it is to apply that feedback? Make it look beautiful. What is beautiful? You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I'm not the beholder, apparently. What's beautiful to me is probably, you know, junk to other people, and that's perfectly fine. But like, vague feedback are the worst, and they are the most common feedback you're ever going to get.
well, absolutely. All the more reason to keep practicing and like training your own eye.
Oh yeah.
And Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes it helps to ask, like, to reach out and ask friends and, you know, family, if they're that receptive, to be like, hey, what do you think of this? Does this look realistic? Does this look like a real, like, what do you think? Does this look cool? And getting feedback from people who don't necessarily have the same passion as you is also just as important. Because they're the consumers. They're the people that's going to buy the things you make.
Yes. Actually, on the whole feedback thing, I think one thing that's helped a lot is learning to interpret what that people are talking about.
Yeah.
So it's when they say, "Oh, it doesn't look like something about it doesn't look quite right." Like part of your job as the artist is to try and understand what they're talking about and make the changes that they're looking for. Even if they don't really know what they're looking for themselves.
Yeah.
As weird as that is. Yeah, so sometimes I've gotten notes where it's like, oh, he looks awkward. And my job is then to figure out, okay, what about this guy looks awkward? And then realize, referring to like the basics and like, okay, start like reanalyzing it, like doing my own draw overs, trying to be my own art director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that comes with time and experience as well.
It does. But yeah, once it also helps train your own eye, and then the more jobs and stuff you can do on your own, the more hireable you end up being, and the more you'll learn.
Yeah. And you're finding... Yeah, sorry.
Sorry? No, you go.
I was going to say, and you're finding yourself not quite sure, like, what all of that means. References. Grab as many references as you can. If you're an animator, film yourself acting out those scenes. It's going to be very awkward the first time you do it, but just do it. Trust me, it really, really helps in getting those natural movements and arcs to make the animation look less awkward. If you're working in, like, modeling and stuff like that, grab as many references as possible. Posing, again, references. References will essentially be the best sidekick you're going to have at any given time.
I completely agreed.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen an artist look at the reference, like, view references as, you know, the worst thing to happen since the meteorite landing on Earth and killing off all the dinosaurs. You know, references are good. You want reference, and using reference doesn't diminish your worth as an artist. I feel like it strengthens it, because at least, you know, your ideas are grounded. There's like solid oomph behind it.
Absolutely. We should always be using reference.
Because your brain can only take you so far. Like, your imagination can only take you so far. If you don't know how a thing's supposed to look like, well, how are you going to sell it to anyone else?
Well, I remember someone explaining it to me in this way. It's like, someone was explaining to me the idea that the reason the art never looks the way on paper as it does in your head is because your brain doesn't really know. You're not really getting like a clear image of it. You may think you're getting like a representation of an image. So it's never going to look the way you want it to look. But by finding reference, you can actually start building a visual library of, like, okay, I like the art style of this. So I like this particular leg of this thing. And you can start to put it all together from there.
Yeah. No, that's actually really good.
Yeah, and sometimes it goes in directions that you didn't really expect, but that's all good.
I mean, yeah. As Bob Ross says, happy accidents.
Exactly.
Well, I guess like that, we've reached the end of my question sheet. Like, I have, for those who don't know, I actually do like a question format sheet for each guest, so they're all tailored for each person. Give or take, you know, if it's all in the visual effects industry, there will be like common questions like, what got you interested? What's your experience like? And stuff like that. But these are quite tailored to to Cam for the full Cam experience. We reached the end. Does anybody have questions to ask us? Because we've reached the Q&A session from chat, and we're now answering questions. If you got any questions, you can even ask questions like, "What underwear is Cam wearing?"
I'd rather not.
Okay, no, I apologize. Don't ask that. Why? why do bad things happen to good people? Cam, do you have a response?
They must be evil then.
They must be evil then. True, says Sid Treefish. Why? Medismal asks, why does it pee when I burn? And she would also like an answer to this question.
Fire?
Fire? Hmm.
I don't know. Drink more water.
Drink more water. You heard it here, folks. Drink more water.
Hydro homies. Let's go.
Hashtag hydro homies. Okay. Angie has asked a rapid fire question. Which is your idea? What is your ideal studio to work at?
Either Weta Workshop or Naughty Dog.
Ooh.
Because they cool.
They are pretty cool. Good answers.
Or actually, or Leica, because Coraline and Kubo.
Oh man, I would love to work at Leica. They seem so cool. Like I've not been like unimpressed with the quality of their work.
No, it's absolutely stunning. It just looks like fun.
It is uncommon sus with the most important question of all time. What is your go-to McDonald's order? Don't take time to think about it.
Double quarter pounder, 10 nuggets, and a large Coke with barbecue sauce and sweet and sour sauce.
My to-go McDonald's order is a double quarter pounder, a filet of fish, nuggets, Coke, and a honey mustard sauce.
Honey mussy.
Honey mussy. Honey mustard. So Treefish, with some bad news for you, actually, Cam. Hi, I'm the owner of Blowfish. You're fired.
Oof.
Hashtag unemployed. Would you? Angie's asking, would you ever start a project with friends? Maybe? Question mark? 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 Tee-hee.
Depends on the project. Like, I'm definitely open to something like that, but I definitely think pretty hard about it, to be honest. I've entered like home projects before, and they're just a lot of work. So it was something I was really interested in. Absolutely.
I think with me, it depends on which friends. And I'm not saying this because I don't like everyone equally. I do. It's more of some people are less workable with than others, and I'm the type of person that not a lot of people want to work with either. But for clarity's sake, I've started and abandoned home projects. I am not reliable in that sense. So for me to be reliable, money needs to be involved. Like that's me personally to other people. But if I were to start another home project again, yeah, I have to think long and hard on who would be a good fit and who would actually take it seriously.
Yeah, that's fair.
Uncommon sus with the popular opinion of probably not with anyone here then. Angie with the eyes emoji. Who are you eyeing at, Angie? How dare you? Oh, she's taking offense. How dare you, she says. any other questions that Cam and I can help facilitate? Oh no, there's a domestic in the chat. Guns have been drawn. Alright kids, take it to the other room where we can't see the bloodbath. Yeehaw. So yeah, for those who don't know and wondering what that slideshow in the middle of my stream is, it is Cam's personal work on his art station, which actually I will start linking. I don't know why my commands aren't working today.
Yeah, it's all seriously old work now. I think the newest on my art station was posted like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I really need to update it. But I lost. Yeah, keen to. I'm gonna start making more or start posting more soon.
Yeah. You've just got yourself a new follower on ArtStation, so that's pressure for you to start updating. No pressure.
Yeah, no, I'm very keen to post more.
That, come to think of it, my ArtStation is pretty dead. I don't use ArtStation anymore. I just send them a Vimeo and be like, hire me, please. I will work for food. I will work for money. Hire me. I don't really do much 3D personal work anymore. I only do 2D, and I have like a ArtStation specifically for my 2D stuff, which I uploaded one thing to and then never again.
We'll just get. It's always. I think it's ArtStation's so much fun to post to. Like it's super inspiring every time you open it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think my biggest pitfall is that I don't think my stuff is ever worth posting to ArtStation. Like again, like I said earlier, there's this air of like pure professionalism. You know, unless you're good, you're not really like in it to win it kind of deal. Not that you're going to win anything other than self-satisfaction that, hey, I've just done this really cool thing, have a look at it, and then you get, like, people be like, oh yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
It's also fun posting just for your own, to see your own progress over time. Like, I used to be really embarrassed by my ArtStation, but now I love it. Like, it's cool looking back and just seeing how much progress has been made. And it makes it more fun to go back and keep making more.
Oh yeah, yeah. I should post on my 2D art station. Not that I would link that to anybody here. This is purely private for now until I feel confident enough to reveal it. But I should start posting it up. I should start posting in it again. Ooh. Any other questions that you guys are curious about with Cam? You got asking for help, tips, whatever. My brain's not working right now. And Cam, again, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me.
I'm more than happy to. Thanks for asking.
I mean, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. Thanks. I'll take all of the compliments. But for those who've just missed like the whole bulk of the session, we'll be saving a VOD and uploading it to YouTube. The VOD will also save onto Twitch as well. If you want to watch from the very beginning, you're more than welcome to. And yeah, unless there's any other questions, I think we can call it. Unless you've got anything else to add, Cam?
No, I think I've said my things.
You've said your piece?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, well, Cam has said his piece. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Like, seriously, hold it. Don't keep yeeting it at us. We're done now. Very nice chat. Oh, good. Oh, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So, yeah, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to join me, Cam. It really means a lot. And, you know, for those who want to check out Cam's stuff, I will post up his link again on ArtStation. Most of it is old stuff, like you said before, but, you know, follow, keep an eye on it. You might get an update. I can't promise anything. This is Cam after all, I'm not him. And, yeah. Oh, everyone loves you, Cam. You are very,
Cheers.
very well loved. So yeah, thank you everybody. The next one, I actually don't have anything planned. The next person to join me, in from the perspective of, will be Blue, actually. Let me check my calendar. In 2 weeks' time, on the 28th of August, on a Sunday at 9 a.m. Australian Standard Time, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. We'll be having a chat with Blue, from her perspective of a game artist, and as well as a 2D illustration artist. Same format, different questions, but you know, there will be a VOD and all of that. So yeah. Once again, chat, say thank you to our wonderful guest, Cam. And until next time, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Bye!